Hey everybody, we are quickly approaching our 5-year anniversary. Can you believe it? To celebrate, we will be doing a special episode and we need your help. We are going to be hosting an Ask Us Anything with questions from you, the listener. So if you'd like your question to be included in our anniversary show coming up very soon, you can email us at murderintherain@gmail.com or send your question via Instagram or Facebook. When we say anything, we mean anything. Ask us about cases, how we make the show, what color underwear we're wearing. Okay, maybe not that, but you can ask personal questions, anything that will help you get to know us better. So get those questions to us ASAP and you just might hear your answer and name on the show. With Mother's Day around the corner, are you thinking about a truly special gift for your mom or the motherly figure in your life? Let me tell you about mylifeinabook.com. It's a unique service that turns your mom's life stories into a beautiful book. Pretty cool, right? Here's how it works. Every week, mylifeinabook.com will send your recipient a question via email. These can be pre-written questions about, for example, your mom's life or any custom questions that you want to ask. And then she can either type her response or record her voice. And mylifeinabook.com compiles all of her responses into a beautiful keepsake book. And guess what? They can even create an audiobook using her voice recordings. It's like preserving her voice and her stories forever. Imagine discovering stories about her youth, adventures, and the challenges she overcame. This book becomes a legacy, something you and future generations can treasure forever. Your mom's given you a lifetime of stories. This is your chance to give her a way to share them. Obviously, we love anything surrounding storytelling. It's what we do. So to be able to gift this to my mom, to not only hear her stories, but the stories of my grandparents and other family members, it will create a cherished gift for all of us to enjoy. Check out mylifeinabook.com and use the code RAIN at checkout for 10% off. Create an unforgettable gift for your mom this Mother's Day. That's mylifeinabook.com and use the code RAIN for 10% off today. This is Murder in the Rain, where each week Emily Rowney, Alicia Holland, and Josh McCullough tell true crime stories of the Pacific Northwest. Murder in the Rain contains graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone. As I mentioned last week, this week's episode is very special to us and is very different from our usual format. When Danielle Tudor was in town a few weeks ago for a political event, she was kind enough to schedule time with us. So we went to her mother's home and sat down with Danielle Tudor and Tiffany Edens, both survivors of Richard Gilmore, Portland's jogger rapist.
Another aspect that makes this episode different from our usual show is the audio quality. Since we were in a home, the sound was a bit off from the start, but throw in a pet bird, an ice machine, snacks, and 3 other adults talking on a couch behind us, and it sounds like we're at the hottest new cafe in town. When you hear talking, just know that it's Danielle's elderly mother and her friends enjoying some Papa Murphy's pizza. So please be patient with the noise. We promise that the stories are worth it. You may hear that in some of the portions, my voice sounds a little different. I was sitting behind the microphone, so I've re-recorded some of my portions for sound quality, but no words have been changed. We want to also give a content and trigger warning to listeners. The ladies will be discussing drug use, sobriety, sexual assault, and other potentially upsetting topics.
My name is Tiffany Edens.
My name is Danielle Tudor, and we are
The Sisters in Survival.
I love a name.
Yeah, so when I was in Estacada,
Gotta get back.
when I was in Estacada,
doing a lot of meth. In fact, I would do meth up my butt. That was my favorite place because my veins were already blown from doing heroin. But I would literally run around in a black bikini, black combat boots with a machete on my side and a ball cap. And I would literally climb trees. I would hack trails in the forest. I did all sorts of things. But I was also suffering really bad from psychosis. Yeah, and I remember I go to jail, and I went to jail a few times. Well, several times. I remember talking to my mom the last time I was arrested in 2014. And I was telling her, because my mom and I, we don't speak. In fact, it's her birthday today, and we just don't speak. I'm like, Mom, just trying to find me a bed so I can get out of here. You know, the judge said if you find me a spot. And she goes, do you know why he isn't speaking to you? And I just went down. I said, this is not the time to talk about my son. I go, I am crazy, like I'm schizophrenic right now. And my mom goes, well, good idea doing meth on top of schizophrenia. I go, it's the meth that's causing it. Stop talking. And all the girls on the pod were like, and I'm like, yeah. Stop talking. Oh, I'm pissed. But I am coming up on 10 years this year.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was a rough ride. It was a really rough ride. After Gilmore raped me when I was 14, I started smoking weed and doing all that. Went to treatment a few times. And then I was doing quite well before 2007. And then when 2007 came upon us, when I did the lawsuit and I did those back-to-back parole hearings and whatnot, it wore me out and I got back into drugs. But it feels good to be who I am now because I have a little bit of that edge that I gathered when I was out running amok, running the streets. But it's really kind of crazy because I can go from speaking with legislators to talking to the person that is having a psychotic episode on the street. So I feel like I just got well-rounded.
Yeah, you have a lot of tools in your toolbox.
A lot of tools. And that's what's so special about Danielle and I in particular this last year and a half, really getting a bond. Like now she's my sister. Before it was the other Gilmore victim.
It was a trauma bond, and now you have a true.
Yeah, and now I have a true bond. And we were able to, in Nashville, we got to be able to talk about some things. We discovered that politicians and media and all of those things will use us and pit us against each other. And for myself, like I had to admit to her that I had a lot of jealousy and felt horrible because here I started this thing and then I am in the gutter shooting heroin while my sister is still moving forward. But we came together and it's helped us, you know. And like I told her, because she was saying you need to get a mentor. You did. And
She was ready to jump in.
Yeah, I said, I'm ready to come back. You know,
Like I want to do this. I'm passionate.
And she goes, well, you need a mentor. And I said, well, you're my mentor.
And I went,
Surprise.
Surprise. You get to mentor me,
Like-
you know? Yeah, you get to be my mentor. And so since the last time we spoke in 2022, our relationship
it's changed a lot.
has changed so much. And there's no more pretenses. There's no more what is she going to do with that information?
There
There
were definitely trust issues.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I don't know which one of you it was that had reached out through. It may have been through Twitter or Facebook.
That was me.
Okay. And do you remember me asking, have you talked to Tiffany Edens?
Yeah.
And you're like, if you want to record separately, you can. And I'm thinking, wow, I must have really put up a fight.
I didn't know the dynamic, right? I didn't
Yeah.
know your dynamic.
And
And the
I thought that was so interesting. And I don't know why I wanted to know. But for some reason I wanted to know. And we were still in that phase of our relationship.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because
it's
you
like,
guys got along so well.
Right.
Well,
And
yeah.
fighting the same battles.
So
Right.
when she admitted that she maybe had a little bit of jealousy, did you also maybe have resentment that you dealt with too? Like you
Oh
recognized
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. Because you're talking to very strong-willed people.
Mhm.
So then I've got her that's, well, we have the Tiffany Edens bill. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll go for the ride.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think it came to a point, I think, and a lot of it may just be our age and maturity, that you go, this is a bunch of crap.
Well, I think that
why are we doing this? Why are we like
there was a
this?
trusting moment. There was a
Yes.
moment, and I'm not
Yes.
going to use names because that's not the type of women that we are. But we were at the Capitol.
Yes,
And,
that was
Oregon,
that-
Washington.
Oregon.
and this is
We
what
were
broke
talking
the whole
about,
thing.
we were, she had gotten some bills sponsored and written and whatnot, and she invited me to come to the Capitol to be with her
Mhm.
to promote and lobby for these bills. And I think I made the comment,
Mhm.
what do you think about this one particular person? And she just kind of like
That's so funny. That's how people become best friends.
I
You realize
know.
You don't like
You
the
bond.
same person.
Yeah. And she goes, well, and I said, well, I don't think she was very nice. I said,
And then it went,
yeah. And she goes, really?
have I got a story for you?
And I think that being able to be vulnerable with
Yes.
her.
And it was at that point I told her, I've had trust issues with you because, you know, I've been hurt and taken advantage of, that I'm not sure
If I can trust you.
who to trust. And so it, rather than doing that, you become a loner. And I think that's actually the worst thing for survivors in our type of crime and
Right.
situation, because you don't want to be a loner.
Right.
You
No,
need to be with
there's
other
power in
survivors.
numbers.
Yes. So what I could do, I could put out some fires. Now her and I, we can win a war.
Yeah.
So, and the first thing that comes to mind for me is Justice for Katie Palmer. Okay, so they've built a large following, and you're talking about just getting one DA into office in a county in Texas, but yet they have garnered so much support, and the more, regardless of what the tragedy is, the more that those groups and survivors plus that
Come
support
together.
come together, and the larger that gets,
Yeah.
the more we get change. Versus, well, I want to be out there and I want to do this,
Do
and it's
that
all
on
about
my
me.
own.
Well, then, honey, it will be all about you. Enjoy that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what you get is what you're going to get. You
And I
know,
think that
versus what you could have done.
I had to mature. I had to go through the darkness that I went through. I mean, I was very dark. You would not want to be with me. And I had to really learn vulnerability, humility, and trust. And I discovered that I had this heart and compassion for Danielle. And because of that more darker history of mine, I am now protective of her, and whatever I can do to support her, have her back, whatever it may be. Because of my history in that realm that I was in, there's a lot of loyalty. You learn that. You learn loyalty or you get taken out. So it was just the right time for me to mature, to get older, to go through my darkest time, and then to be able to see Danielle as another victim of Gilmore. Because I think also too, because I was so young during that whole process, these
Right.
guys were all older than me. And I was so young that it you know how kids are, the world revolves around them. And so it was me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's because I was so much younger, and it had been a decade or 6-7 years since your rape and my rape, and then the age differences.
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. I was 17. So when we went to trial, then I was 24.
She already had a baby.
Yeah, I already had a baby,
Yeah, so
and
you're over here into adulthood, and
Mhm.
you're
I'm
barely
14.
in
You're
puberty.
barely in
Totally
puberty.
different places
Yes.
too,
Yeah.
and dealing with it. And
Mhm.
Yeah,
catching up
totally
to that.
different maturity,
Mhm.
totally different lenses to see things.
So you
Coping
had
mechanisms.
these,
Mhm.
even though we were all separated at trial, you still had these whispers amongst us, kind of like, I'm still afraid to be home alone at night. Well, I sleep with the lights on.
And I
you
never
know,
got
so-
to talk to
And
them.
she was never a part of that because they did their best to keep us separated so it wouldn't compromise the case. But she's the star witness here. She's here, so I don't know that she was ever
I was
with
never
us.
in
Yeah,
there.
too much
I was
with us.
not
I
with
just
you. They
like I
kept
said,
me off.
yeah. The only memory that I really have of you is dancing in the hallway.
Yeah.
That is the only memory that I really have that I remember seeing you as you were, doing your pirouettes and all of that, and we're all just blown away, thinking, how can she do that? But that was her life. That was normal to her. So she gravitated to what was normal, and we're all just blown away sitting there.
How is she doing that? And I'm just,
Wow. Yeah, exactly. But it was a great distraction though, because
But-
it just kind of took us all to a good place,
and then we all went our separate ways, and we
Mhm.
thought Gilmore was going to be gone for 60 years.
Yeah.
And then that was a rude awakening in 2007. But I think I needed to mature in order to let down that guard of, but this was my rape. But I think that was that 14-year-old mind,
Mm-hmm.
what are we doing here? So be it, I don't think it's right nor wrong, but that was just a process that I had to go through.
Well, and from the beginning, you were the little sister.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
even then, that makes sense for 2007 because even when it all happened,
Mhm.
and then when the trial comes, again, you're the separate, you're apart.
Yeah,
and so these
they
people
separated
are
us
already
then.
Like, why
Yeah.
are they special and why are they
Yeah.
getting it when I had the same thing? Like,
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
really
That all
weird,
makes
and
sense.
I think they do that with survivors, with victims. Is that they keep us separated. I don't know why that's the culture of keeping us separated. That's just what they do, and I know that they have to, like the DA's office has to protect their case, and you can't
Yeah, I
have.
think
Right.
they
You
have
know,
to make
all
sure
that.
your testimony
Right.
says your
But
testimony.
But
they
I
should
think they
have,
should have
when it was all said
something.
and done, they should have brought us all together.
Or
Yeah.
something,
They should have.
for those
Yeah.
that wanted to, or because it might have changed the way that I healed
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
if,
think it definitely
if
could
I
have.
could have had those older sisters.
Right. Well, and
you know.
Colleen was the same age as you.
Yeah, she was another
So
13.
now when we go to trial, she's got to
old
be
was she?
22 maybe. Hers was 1980 or 81.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of
She's
got a
in
few
a
years
little bit
ahead
ahead.
of you. Yeah. Yeah.
So it could have
would have
changed.
been
I don't know what it would be
beneficial.
like.
And I think that's why we have the vision that we do for Sisters in Survival, because it's more than just telling the story in the book. Where it leads is to the power that's behind your story, legislatively and changing things for the person that comes behind you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also creating that community
Yeah.
for survivors that they have a place to get resources. So
They have
let's
other
say,
sisters.
Yes, let's say I want to do what they did in my state because state laws are what affects you the most.
Right.
I can reach out to them and I can find out what I need to do and I
Yep.
can use them as a resource. Just like she calls me her mentor, which I'm not sure.
She's still upset about.
It's just a lot of responsibility. And I think I felt a lot of responsibility when she said that. And I'm thinking, man, this crap has got to stop. I mean, I need to really get my act together.
Because I was like, I want to
What
learn
is
how
wrong
to
with
do all
me?
that. I don't know
Yeah.
the people.
Right.
And that your
I have a
first
good mouthpiece,
instinct-
though.
Your first instinct is, wait a minute, this is my
Is
thing.
it real?
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yes, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to
You
be
get
mature
protective.
enough to go, wait a minute, this isn't about me.
The whole reason you're doing it is
Yes,
everyone.
it's for others. So if you're in it just because you want the light on you, then you're in it for the wrong reason. And unfortunately, I think in one of my experiences, that's what I saw, an individual that wanted the light on them. I mean, because this individual literally came in on a bill that I was working on
And took it.
Wow. And actually harmed it. And we didn't get what we wanted.
I'd say I'm shocked.
And you know what?
And I
I'd be
just-
like, you know what, sissy? Let me handle this.
I'm like,
Here comes
yes,
that.
this is what I need.
I know how to use
Well,
machete.
you don't go there,
You know
chick.
what-
You know
Let me
what?
get my
Don't go
electric
there.
kitty.
You know what's interesting
Well,
though?
just
When that
scary
was
now. That was
happening
when I was
and you
all
could
messed.
see it and sense it in the media, she was getting clean and sober, and she saw it. She
Oh, yeah.
saw it. She saw what was
Her,
happening. Yes.
BS meter.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
just like, wow,
You know,
girl.
I'm pretty good at reading people, especially, you know, you have to be in order to survive. Okay. Especially when you're hanging with the Hells Angels and stuff like you are. I remember one guy said, "You're not in Kansas anymore, are you, Dorothy?" I was like, "I don't think so, man." But, you know, but I could see it and I got pissed. What is this shit? Even though I had my own resentments and I felt bad because I tapped out of the game. It just is what it was. I was exhausted and I didn't know. I was naive. I didn't know how much they suck out of you. The media, the lobbyists, the blah, 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 blah. But I had to go through my own thing, but I could see what this particular person was doing and it pissed me off. And I was like, "Oh, please, Lord, let me get back in there. Let me show her what I've got."
So really the fact that when we were at the Capitol, that would be then 2023, right?
Yeah.
When we were had our legislation. And
November,
for her
October,
to
November.
even bring that up and to have had a similar experience was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I wanted to be able to. I didn't know how I was going to let Danielle know you're safe with me. I've got her back. I don't need the Tiffany Edens in the lights anymore. You know what I mean? I don't need that. My biggest passion is just to help others get clean and sober. If somebody's hurt you and you're doing this, I get it. I've been there. But I wanted to check her radar, so to speak, with that question. Because I wanted to see if she was picking up what I was laying down that I had seen.
Get a judge of that radar.
Yeah.
So, are we reading people
Are
the
we
same way? And are we
same
getting
way?
that same energy from that person?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And I know we're not the only ones to go through this and to feel that. And I
know.
think it's
I'm sure there's
just,
hundreds and
yeah,
hundreds.
it's creating that atmosphere that we need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other, and we are stronger when
We
we
are
work
stronger
together
together.
than when you work by yourself.
That's
So-
the best advertisement for CrimeCon and any other true crime
And that's what we
festival.
want to talk
Mhm.
about.
True crime podcasting plays a very important role that really isn't available anywhere else. When you think of normal media journalism,
Yeah, it's all
you
narratives.
get, here's our 2-minute story, here you go. And
and
we're
we're only
done.
gonna
Yes.
give you what.
And it's
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
And
what
you're
we're allowed
not,
to say.
the first thing.
And they
with
will
this
pit victim against
Yes.
victim.
the first thing I do with however many news pieces we've done is to read it to see if it's correct. And I am amazed how
Many times.
most often it's not correct.
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
it
no,
comes
that's
off
not
differently.
that's not correct.
We
No,
find
no,
inconsistencies
that's
all the
not.
time.
Yes.
All the
Versus,
And it's not
True
conveyed the
crime,
way that we
yeah.
were saying it.
so when you're doing true crime podcasting, when you're
When the
giving
people
people,
are
like
talking.
us a chance to set that record straight. Hey, this is where we're coming from. This is what happened, and you let them create that platform that gets spread around.
Yeah.
And it is an area where there really is a lot of potential for survivors and for survivor advocacy. And I don't know.
Well, I think also with podcasts, it's like we get to be real people,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
and the people that are listening are real people.
They
Yeah.
want to hear the realness.
They want to
Yeah.
hear the
I
real
have
raw.
had so many comments about your episode. Like people really, really loved it because it was, I mean, heart wrenching.
Yeah.
I had to go get a colonoscopy because I'm at the age.
But good for you.
And
for doing it.
I know I did the real one, not the little commercial.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was flushing out my system and I'm watching those and I'm like, turn off the TV, turn off the TV. I can't stand it. But, you know, I deal with that. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners and a lot of people in our community, like when I go to the hospital and they're trying to find a vein, I have to say, I'm sorry, that is scar tissue. It's really not a vein. I'm an XIV user. And it can be shaming. I've had some where they're like, "You get the ultrasound because I can't find a vein," and I'm like,
check it out, chick.
Right.
I don't care what RN is behind you. You know what I mean? But I think being able to have a media or a venue or a way where we can just really share our truth,
The realness.
the real
Yeah.
parts of us, not the pieces that you see on us on Your Voice, Your Vote,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
posing with
Not
Governor.
victim / survivor / clean.
Yeah.
Like,
this is Tiffany and Danielle.
Yeah.
This is what we went through. These are the feelings that we've had. These are the hurdles that we had to get through just to have a trusting relationship. And that's taken years.
Yeah.
And speaking of, that was in Nashville. And I'm not sure if you guys are allowed to talk about what you were doing there.
We are embarking on, we do have a finished book proposal. We have a collaborator, and we went to Nashville to meet with her, and we got to stay together, and we shared each other's story. And I think I was from like 2 years old up until now, and I think I probably shocked Danielle, and
Just a little.
just a little. I go, yeah, I used to break into houses and take people's safes.
And then she started telling us about how they had to carry one huge one down the stairs, and she was the lookout, and I'm just like,
And I was so high. I was so high on a bunch of yay and I don't know what else. And I have no shoes on. I'm in boxers or something. And my boyfriend's like, get out of the way. And I'm like, let me help you, babe. And we're just broke into this house. It's daylight. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
and he's like, get out of the way. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And then he pukes. And I'm like, don't leave your DNA here. My gosh, you just left your DNA. Get your ass in the car. But, I used to do adventurous things like that.
Some go hiking,
Some
some go
do, yes.
geocaching, some
Steal
put meth
safes.
in their rum
Yeah.
and steal
And steal safes. I mean, it's whatever you.
whatever your Saturday is.
Yeah.
Is yours,
Yeah. So, she got to learn a lot of the darkness too, and the psychosis, and
see, and I wasn't aware
Losing
of any
my
of that.
son.
That was
I-
all new to you.
That was all new to me. The only thing I knew was when Gilmore decided not to have a parole hearing in
Yeah.
2016, Mara Stein, who is someone that has written a lot about this case, did an interview, and Tiffany was in the article and stuff. And I remember when I talked to Mara, she had already talked to Tiffany, and I'm like, well, how is Tiffany? And she goes, she's a little rough around the edges. I'm like,
just a little.
cool.
Yeah, she's just a little rough.
And then how many years later? 16, 17,
yeah.
7 years
Yeah.
later, we end up in Nashville, and I hear the little rough around the edges.
What that really meant.
The adventures.
I was like,
She was like, whoa. And she was like, I never want to make you angry.
she's like,
I'm like, sister, I got your back.
So it's a juicy book, is what you're saying.
Oh,
yeah. I was just, I mean,
You got to read the
she's-
book to
she's
get
standing-
all the
right.
stories.
She's
To get all the
standing there-
juice.
She's standing there telling all of this, and she's just starting to cry and weep. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, else I knew. When you were a little rough around the edges, I had no idea. And so I'm hugging her, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And
But you wouldn't.
how much is there that we really don't know what's happening inside of survivors because we don't talk about it. We don't
We
feel
don't talk
comfortable
about it.
talking about it.
It's
But
hard to
I
be
think-
vulnerable.
I think it really has. I mean, you're talking how many years down the road since our assaults, but it's another piece of our healing.
Yeah.
So we do have a website.
Yes, we do.
Yes, it
And it
is.
is?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Sister,
So what's the address?
Oh,
You tell people.
Sisters in Survival, the book, all one word.com.
Yes.
It has to be all one word, and you've got the book, Sisters in Survival, the book.com.
Yes.
All one word.
So you'll find a little bit of information on there. So we've got our website up and running,
And we've got letters to other survivors
Yes,
written
on
by
there.
us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that is, one of the things I had said in mine is that, that healing is a journey. It's not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you ever reach that destination. It is a journey, and it's seasons throughout your life.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most surprising seasons for me was when I stepped forward and shared my story. And it opened that platform and that pathway for 15 years of advocacy.
That's
and
why she's my
activism now.
mentor.
I had no clue that was and is an important part of my life and my healing, because what I didn't get, I can make sure that somebody else gets, So their justice really becomes mine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I claim their justice because I got to be a part of that. And so it's just interesting to me how the different phases and the seasons and the journeys, how all of that kind of plays into it. And it
And
is
you
your
get to read
lifetime.
that in the book once we get it produced.
Right. Then that's where we're at right now. So
Yeah,
we
we're
are in the,
waiting.
we're in the
We're-
process of
And I don't like it.
yeah,
It
it's
sucks.
hard. It's hard. it's a weight game now.
And then you feel like you're rejected.
yeah. So we are reaching out to
We're
agents.
survivors. We're not supposed to be rejected. How dare you do that?
Yes.
You're a
Yes.
very bad person.
Yes.
This is a very trauma-informed approach.
Yes. So there is one publisher.
Yeah.
There is a publisher that we have reached out
Yeah.
to that we feel like we would be a
Good
great
fit.
fit for, and it's in their hands. I had actually reached out to her a year ago, and I just queried her out of the blue. Said, "Hey, this is what's happening right now," and just shared everything that was going on with Gilmore, some of the story, and I was surprised because she responded right away.
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Weird.
And she goes, "Yes, I would like to know more. Can you send me a few sample chapters?" And I was surprised because she responded right away.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Yes, I would like to know more. Can you send me a few sample chapters?" And I'm like, uh-oh.
Just wait
Not
a
at
little
this moment.
bit. Yeah.
Voice
And-
note from Tiffany.
and so I'm
Let me
like,
circle around. Let me circle back on that. Okay. That's what I say all the time. Let me circle back.
well, I didn't respond. I'm thinking, what do I do now?
Now.
So what many people probably don't know is that I think it was 2013, 2014, I actually had an agent and book proposal and stuff. And at that time was pursuing a book. And we actually had publishers who were interested, actually had meetings with some great publishers, but the agent was not right. And I could tell,
Something
I'm like,
was
uh-oh,
not right.
this guy's going to blow it. And sure enough, so that's always been in the back of my mind. And I did a lot of research, and I'm just like, well, let's just put that on the back burner. So then we're going through all of this with Gilmore, and I'm just going to reach out to this individual. And then she responded, and I'm thinking, now what do I do? And as I was sitting there, I just knew in my heart, it was like this voice said, "You've been waiting for Tiffany." See, at the time that I was doing that, she was not ready. And
Yeah, I was just getting clean and sober.
now she's ready. And I'm thinking, wait, what do you mean we've been waiting? I've been waiting all this time for her? What?
I had to do some stuff, okay?
She had to have adventures.
Yeah.
She was on
Well,
a
let me
very
tell
active
you,
adventure.
she's added some real sparks to the book.
Yeah, it's
so funny
kinda
to say that.
cool.
That's literally the first thing I thought when you said that agent wasn't right, is that the timing wasn't right.
No,
Right.
it
You
was
ha-
not.
You guys wouldn't have the relationship
No, we
have.
would not.
And
we
we
would
would have
not.
missed a whole part of your
And
journey. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
It could have even created more of a wedge by saying, why does she get to have a book?
Yeah.
she's a vital part of that story. And I knew that. I knew when that voice was saying, "Are you ready for Tiffany now?"
Are you
like,
ready?
I don't know if I
I'm just
ever
like-
will be.
And then,
And so I
then
just-
we did some bonding over trying to find a book. What was that one? Oh, I'm not
No.
going to say names.
Okay,
but
so I
that
I
girl
reached out to her. I
is
sent her a
crazy.
message and I said, "Hey, Tiffany, have you ever thought about a book?" She's like, "Oh my gosh, yes, yes. I've been thinking about that. I don't know how to do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay."
That's why
Okay.
she's my mentor.
Here we go.
Duh.
Here we go. Well, this is what I did. I kind of did a thing.
Yeah, she did it. She was like, I kind of did this thing.
And I put you in
And
it.
we have a meeting. And I was like, okay. Tell me when and where, whatever you want me to do.
But I think probably the most important lesson that we are learning is there is right timing to everything, and there
Yeah.
is the
Agent.
right person.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a lot of no's, and it only takes the one.
One, yes.
The one. And I think we both, one way or another, we know this is going to get done. However we have to do it, it's going to get done. It would be nice to have a publisher.
An agent,
with us.
publisher,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll
if not,
do it,
we've
however.
we've got a great collaborator who is just as dedicated as we are. So.
which, and we went through a couple. We met with two. One was very kind. One was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Here at Murder in the Rain, we love a good family mystery and we love a good video game. And now that we have the convenience of holding computers in our hands, we know the absolute joy of finding the perfect video game. Just like most of us, I like to wind down at night with some gameplay on my phone, usually while waiting for ads to finish on my streamer service, and June's Journey is a perfect match. Step into the 1920s in the role of June Parker, who is searching for hidden clues to uncover the mystery of her sister's murder. You can use your keen observation skills to quickly uncover key pieces of information that lead to each chapter of the game. And of course, there's a scandalous hidden family secret to uncover. It has it all: mystery, danger, romance. Where will each new chapter take you? Now, this isn't any old mystery game. You get to customize your very own estate island by decorating and building gardens and buildings. You can even chat and play with or against other players by joining a detective club.
I'm pretty early into the game, but there is already so much to enjoy. The setting of the 1920s is fun and really beautifully done. The mystery is exciting, like when a character fell through a secret trap door. I like playing a game to relax, but to also stimulate my mind. It's not a difficult game, but you have to be paying attention and moving fast to find objects in time to multiply your score. June's Journey also features puzzling elements, like a torn-up photograph that I had to reassemble. It's cool!
Can you crack the case? Download June's Journey for free today on iOS and Android.
I was like,
Is that a clinical term?
yes, very clinical, behavioral health supervisor.
I'm just going to say, okay, so when
Gee.
the Attorney General of Oklahoma calls you on a Friday night on his way home from work and says, don't do it. You
And then I'd
listen.
already signed it and I'd already done stuff. And then
Oh,
so
let me tell
his
you.
wife is on the phone with me and I'm like, I don't know her. She's big attorney in Oklahoma.
Yeah, she's an
and
attorney
she's like,
as well.
Tiffany, I just want you to relax and have a good weekend. And I'm like, okay, I'm really scared of this lady. And here I am. I'm like, whatever. If I would have seen her, I probably would have been able to scare her. But she had too much.
She was dealing with her
Trauma.
own trauma.
Oh.
Yeah, and she was writing about it too.
Yeah, at the same
So
time. And I'm
I
like,
don't think it
how
was
could
a
you
good.
handle our trauma?
If you just learned
If
about
you're just
yours
doing
and
your
now
trauma.
you're now working
Yeah.
through that,
Scary.
it just yeah. Yeah.
So
that-
we
that
got
was-
out of that.
Yeah.
We were both like, oh my gosh. We got out of that one. And then we somehow got connected with Allie
Mhm.
Anderson. And she is so amazing. She's amazing.
And it's kind of her specialty,
Okay.
working with trauma victims
Oh, good.
and telling their story and stuff. So she's been a very good fit and
And
seems
she's
to know,
just as
yeah.
passionate. Like
Mhm.
she cares. Like she's like, okay, ladies, this is what I have some plans to do. Da 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 da. And you know, we've already paid her for the book proposal. That's done and over with.
Mhm.
But she is still investing
Engaged
and
and
engaged
helping.
and wanting to see this and promoting it
believes
to documentarians and
Right.
you know, like she's like pitching our story to her connections. And so
Yeah.
we just felt safe with her too. I
Yeah.
did.
So I think we were at a low point a couple of weeks ago, and
Oh,
we were on a
gosh.
Zoom call, and there's Tiffany and I were just like, I'm just not doing well with this
Oh,
waiting,
yeah.
and I'm
What did I do
I'm getting so
wrong?
discouraged. And she's just like, whoa, wait a minute here.
She goes, the worst case is we're going to raise money and we'll publish the book ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and she
oh,
has
really?
recently, with a partner, started a hybrid publishing company. So she said, however we do this,
It's going to happen.
we are doing this. This
Well,
is
and if
not.
anything,
I
not
gotta
timing.
read it, so
Yes.
it needs to get
Yes.
done.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody say that. Everybody just get out there and start saying, we need this book.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it will be entertaining, it will be educational, it will be compassionate, it
It
will
will.
be
One of
intriguing,
the
like all the good things.
that I will share in that story is when we went to trial, and it was my turn to take the stand, and I have the trial transcript and our testimony and everything, and I got that probably in 2013 or 2014, somewhere along the line. And as I went through and I was reading my testimony, the first thing the prosecutor, Russ Ratto, asked me, did anything unusual happen to you on November 11th, 1979? And I go, not that I can think of.
He probably was like, no, Danielle, wrong answer.
He's
Wrong
like,
answer.
Um,
Are you sure?
let me
Yeah, let me rephrase this.
And I'm reading that going, oh
What
my,
the- Well,
we were
all shocked.
Yeah, I mean,
You were
that's a
shocked.
stressful situation.
just like, oh no, nothing I can think of.
night. Good. Yeah, I don't think so. Just went and got some groceries or
And I
something.
can only imagine what Russ Ratto was thinking.
Russ was probably like, he
Oh
probably
my,
just
what's
went
going to
with
happen?
it. He
What's
just
going to
probably
happen?
went with it and knew and supported
I'm not sure
it.
that
But
that's
I think
common.
I think
We don't
he did
associate
go,
traumatic events with a specific date. You
let
know,
me
like-
rephrase
No.
that. On November 11th, I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah,
Why
that
we're here
guy.
today, you mean?
That guy was
I
in
am
my
so-
house.
So I think we envision it. There's a little bit of humor in there because without that in life, even in the worst of cases, you still need some of that. You still need to have joy in your life. Otherwise, why is life even worth living?
Right.
And I think that's one of the greatest pieces of revenge is being able to live your life joyfully. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the best things about revenge that you can get.
And I just
So-
want the survivors out there, the ladies, in fact, I have a gal that will text me, we've even shared phone numbers, and she lives in Florida, and she's like 21, and she sent me paintings because she's an artist. And I think the only thing that she needed was to know she's not alone. I mean, she just texted me this morning. Hi, I missed you. I hope you're doing good. And I think that's what survivors need. They just need to know they're not alone. And they need
Yeah.
to know that they have older sisters that have their back. So the person that hurt her, she told her parents, but they didn't believe her, which is so common
Mm-hmm.
and horrible. And this person still lives in her neighborhood. So she calls me the first time we've ever spoken. It's always been on Facebook. She calls me and she's just crying. And she's like, I'm really having a hard time. I didn't know who else to call. And I'm like, it's okay. How you doing, sissy? And she goes, will you just be on the phone with me when I drive in? Because he's always staring at me. And I said, why don't you give me his address? And she goes, really? And I said, give me his address. So she sent me the address. So I've got the address. You never know.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But all she needed was just for me to be on the phone while she could walk from her car to her front door. And she was like, okay. And then she's talking to her mom and she's like, okay, I made it. Thank you so much. And just that empowered her to know, even though Danielle Tudor and Tiffany Eaton, blah, 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 but she could call me from Florida in the middle of the night, and I just sat on the phone with her. That impacts me, and that's the why, and that's why it's so important that our book does get published,
the reach
Mhm.
that it will have, and the scary stories or adventures. And what's kind of cool is that because Danielle and I have come together, she had a totally different path than I did, because victimization and healing is not cookie cutter. It's not in a book. It's all very different. So she can reach those that didn't have as many adventures. I can reach those that had adventures.
Yeah, it's a spectrum.
Mhm.
It's
They're
a-
on opposite ends.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
So
And
it's relatable to that many
it's
more people.
relatable to that many more people. You know, I also sponsor women in a 12-step program. Every single one of them except one, and I've sponsored several, have all been sexually abused, sexually raped, tricked out, gang raped, the whole thing. And they've never had somebody that experienced something like that said, I'm here. I will have like sponsors with 20 years will say, Tiffany, I'm sending somebody to you. They want to get your voice back, or they want to talk to you. And I'm like, of course. And so that was another thing that I'd done, was a grassroots survivor group called Get Your Voice Back. And I haven't done it in a while, but people keep asking. Really, I got kind of re-traumatized. I needed a break because I was hearing things that, oh my gosh, just horrific. But that's what I want the book to do, is I want survivors that are being quiet, not talking. Maybe they're doing drugs, maybe they're not, and they feel like they don't have a voice, or they're scared to even mention it. I want them to be inspired, empowered to start speaking, and that they have sisters there. Like I told this gal in Florida, she goes, I really wish I could meet you. And I said, honey, you never know.
Mhm.
I'll come out to see you or something. I go, just don't take me by alligators or crocodiles. But because she lives in a rural, like she wears cowboy hat and all that. But that's what I want to do.
And that is so much beauty to come from so many different things for so many different people.
Like if
Now you're
Danielle
all
and I
coming
could just
together.
travel around and, honey, you want me to ride in the car with you while we go look at him? I'll do that. You don't have to look at him. Yeah, I'll look at him. If that's all you need, then that's what I'll do.
I really don't think there is, in fact, I know there isn't a book out there that represents the
ours.
full spectrum
Uh-uh.
from the time of the assault, going through trial, parole hearings, changing lawsuits, and still to this day. Yeah.
Or one person's point of view.
Yes.
Right.
So you're getting the whole spectrum here, which is really cool. I have
It's amazing,
somebody at
really.
work that was recently raped,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she didn't have anyone to talk to. And it was actually a couple of my bosses. They're like, it might be good if you have a conversation with her. So I got together with her and started talking, and it really, really made a difference for her. And I was able to share that perspective. As we sat across the table, I said, where you're at right now, all you see is a dark tunnel, and you don't see light. And I said, I'm in the light at the end of the tunnel.
And I can hold that for you.
And you're going to make that journey, and you're going to make it. I can tell you that. You're going to make it. It isn't always going to be easy,
No.
but you are going to make it, because I can tell you I made it to the light. And that doesn't mean that you don't have bad days. That doesn't mean that you still don't have challenges and things you have to wrestle with. But you learn to manage those. And I think at some point you start to come to terms and have peace with the parts of you that will never be right
Be
or be
different.
normal again, because at the time of
Never
the assault,
seen-
it's just like a bolt of lightning, and all of a sudden your life is all
You're different. Your
And,
perspective,
yes,
the
everything.
lenses you look through, the way you look at
Yeah.
people, the way you look at
Trust in general.
trust in general.
See,
And
you
then-
know?
and
My
then you
parents used
think,
to say, don't be afraid, there's no monsters.
yeah,
Well, Danielle and I know for a fact that there are monsters that will invade your house. So Mr. Gilmore, Richard Gilmore, his GPS was taken off today. So he is no longer being tracked.
Because he used to living in the
downtown
Downtown.
area.
Mhm.
Mhm.
but he's
But-
not being tracked.
No, Nichelle called us last week or sometime, I don't remember, but he's no longer being tracked. And I freaked out. And what I realized was that it was another stage in this process, and that in a way, it's like I'm losing control of his status or his whereabouts. I've known where he has been since December 19th, 1986.
And that's been the fight of your life, knowing where he is.
Knowing where he is. That's the only thing that has given us any sense of comfortability, and just knowing where he's at. Like, since he's been out of prison for a year or whatever, a year and a couple months, that somebody could know where he was at.
Traceable.
Traceable.
And he had so little put on him, right? That level 1.
Oh,
Yes.
So he just got that little bit, and now it's gone.
and now that's
Mhm.
gone. And we were talking, and I said, Sissy, I go, he's only 3 years supervision. So,
And you're about halfway through that.
Yes.
yes.
So as much as the governor kept saying, "Oh, he's going to be on parole till 2032,"
That's,
we're like,
but he's not being supervised.
No, he's not. He's
That just
only
means
being
if he screws up again.
exactly. So when we hit
That
the
means if
3-year
there's
mark,
another victim.
yes. So
He'll
we
get
hit
a
that
harsher punishment.
Yes.
But that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It always takes a woman being a victim to prove that a man shouldn't be out.
So
Yeah.
that's something that we're dealing with. And I think that's also what you get in the book, which is unique, is
When they-
to see our story, to read our story from the beginning to now. This person is walking amongst us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a real fear for survivors, and
That's a
I think,
fear.
Yes, I think that's
I
why.
have a little bit of fear. I need
Yeah.
to be honest. Like, don't step into the state of Washington. That's all I've got to say. If he is hearing this, I am telling you right now, do not come to Washington. And it's horrific that that's where I go. But that's where I go. I've been left with no choice, and they don't seem to hear us, Danielle and I. They don't take our experience and his history at face value. They want to brush it under the rug. Now, do I think that I will be a target? Probably not. I'm not 13. Probably not.
But there's the revenge factor.
But there is the revenge factor, and he is crazy enough. Maybe he's like, oh yeah, you think you're whatever. Okay.
You're the name in the face that put him there in the first
Right.
place.
He got 15 more years compliments of us.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think, unless you are a survivor, you don't realize. We were having a conversation today with somebody, and she goes, well, you have a totally different view than I do. She said, you both know that what we go, oh, that won't happen. We have experienced that
That's
only
not gonna
happens to
happen.
other people.
Yeah.
And it baffles Danielle and I that they've been so reckless
And still are.
and still
And
are.
still are. We'll be back in the next
I mean, why is he a
legislative
level
session.
1?
I mean, we have got to get the sex offender registry and how they classify offenders. We have got
I mean,
to
how
get that
many
right.
unclassified do we have now? I mean, a year
It
and a
was
half
over-
ago
it
was
was over-
20.
It was over 20,000.
Yeah,
Right.
so now we're
So-
probably more.
What's wild
That
to
are
me
convicted but have not.
that
They're
they
out,
they're
But
out
they're not
in the
classified.
yeah in the communities.
Just don't
So we don't know if
You
they're a
don't have
serial
to-
rapist or a.
What is the rules around? So if you're level 1, you don't have to be on that main registry, right?
Well, you're on the registry. You just
Nobody
technically
notifies.
nobody
You don't have to go
knows.
knock on
Right, they don't have to tell your
Yeah.
neighbors.
or
Where
the
you
schools
No.
or the churches or the neighbors.
Right.
Neighborhood.
You basically can hide in
just-
plain sight, which is what we have with Gilmore,
just
which
out.
is really scary.
Every
That's supposed
murder
to be
we
this.
cover, there was that red flag opportunity to put
That
them
was
away.
ignored. Mhm.
That and was as a first time offender. That's okay, you know. And then lo and behold, what happens? They escalate and they murder someone.
Well, and when Nichelle said, well, he's doing everything, he's being a good boy. Well, He knows how to be a good boy for
Because
30
they have
years.
a personality. They know
Well,
how to turn
that's
on.
how he was able to be a
Yeah, we
rapist
did
on
just
the
talk about
loose
that.
for
Mhm.
10 years. you
Yeah,
know?
10 years they were looking for him.
Yeah.
He had a wife and a job. And
And the fact that he was so involved, like, I want to be a police officer.
I
and
want to, yes,
you know?
let's not
like he's
forget. I
taunting
forgot
them at
about
that
that
point.
part. Yes, he was on the short list to become a Gresham police
because
officer.
they're obsessed. They are obsessed with it.
And they think it's like exciting.
Well, it's interesting.
Unquestioned authority.
Unquestioned.
Tiffany was sharing today how the burden for change is always on the victims.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Victims and families.
yes, there has
Always.
there will be a chapter in the book titled "When Pain and Politics Collide,"
Yeah.
because literally your story and trying to get change, those two coming together doesn't always work. Sometimes it's pretty painful, and you don't always get what you want when you know it's right.
Well,
like
look
what
at
we're
what
facing
happened to
now.
me in 2007, 8, and 9. That political fight totally
Yeah,
crushed me.
it did.
You
It
guys
sent her
reminded
back
me
into.
too of Colleen Stan. Are you familiar with her story, the girl in the box from Northern California?
That
She was
sounds familiar.
abducted,
Yeah.
raped,
Oregon,
and
right?
she's from
She
Oregon,
was-
abducted in Northern California.
Oh.
She's kept in a box for 7 years, treated as a sex slave. He went to prison, but he's only there because she continues to go to his parole meetings and fight for
Right.
And so that right now they've been pushing all through COVID. He's supposed to be back in court to see if he is able to be on parole because they think he's still a violent sex offender. But if she doesn't go, if she doesn't speak up,
He will be out, and that's
They'll
exactly
just
what has
base it
happened.
on-
Yeah,
So what have
No
you
one
been
can.
up to?
yeah.
and
Oh, you're doing
it's,
good.
No one seems to care.
No one
Like,
seems
It's
to care.
just so
Yeah.
Let's take a
frustrating.
risk with you.
You have all
Yeah.
this documented testimony about these horrible things. I mean, she lived in a box under his bed.
Yeah, okay, I do know what you're
I
talking
mean,
about. Yeah.
Why would
What
they
more do you
even
need to know?
consider him to be out?
Ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
That is done.
But there's
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
he's old. He can't do it anymore.
That's
It's like,
Hannibal Lecter shit.
Yeah.
Oh, the old card. Well, that's
Yeah.
why Mr.
I mean, they
Gilmore-
knocked off part of his sentence because of the California law. That's when you're a certain age.
Yeah, you're less
It's
than
like, yeah,
Oh,
they.
you're not
So
going
I
to do
I
that.
can't remember what
A
they call it.
sentence is never really a sentence.
Sentence.
Yeah, and one of the
There's
things.
no
Well, unless
It
you're a serial
changes.
killer with a true life sentence.
Yeah. One of the laws that we're changing in Oklahoma this session is when a sex offender is sentenced to a period of time, they must serve 100% of that
Good.
time.
Ooh.
There's
That
no,
is so
no
important.
early
I
release.
love that.
Mhm.
How many times do we get questions in a case like, why were they let out early? It's
Mhm.
like, because it's an arbitrary number.
Well, and like you said, there's usually always a red flag that just kind of gets ignored
There always
until
is.
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never had a
Why?
case where there wasn't.
It's for Multnomah County District Attorney's race. So our case in particular has a lot of history with Multnomah County District Attorney's Office, and it started, at trial under then DA Shrunk, who was still in office when parole hearings started. He was part of the lawsuit with the
Yeah.
Atkins family and the DA's family, and then my threatened lawsuit because they weren't going to recognize me as a victim. But every step of the way from trial and then 2 decades later,
Yeah.
come parole hearings, they
Always
were
had the
by our
support.
side. They were there for everything, advocating for us and fighting right alongside us. Okay. So then I start, getting into changing laws and stuff like that. So then next thing you know, Rod Underhill is now the DA. And then Russ Ratto is now coming to legislative work groups,
Yeah.
parole board groups. I
He's a
served.
former DA.
Yeah, yes,
He was
he's
our
retired.
prosecuting
He
DA.
was the
We talked about him in
prosecuting.
that episode.
Yeah.
quite a
Yes,
bit.
yes. They've been down that road with us. Everything we did. I mean, they would
Every
come down to
step.
Salem and sit through hearings with me on different pieces of legislation. Often they would testify as
Yeah.
well to the committee in favor of that bill. I remember when Melissa's law passed, which really snowballed then our rape kit backlog and getting through that. Rod Underhill came down there and sat with us in the gallery while the final vote was being taken for Melissa's law. And when it was done, we're all hugging and crying. I mean, we're getting things done. And then with Rod Underhill and the rape kit backlog, he really spearheaded that. And then I ended up working with Portland Police Bureau and the Governor's Task Force and with the DA's office, and everything we did all along the way.
They were there.
They were there. They were by our side fighting for us. Okay, then you see what we faced in 2022 with Gilmore's low-level
Gosh.
sex offender. He'll have more rights than we do, more
that was a
freedom,
More
than we
protection
do.
too. He'll
This
have
is
more
now
protection.
under a new DA.
Schmidt, yeah.
Yes. Schmidt
Schmidt.
has become Gilmore's greatest advocate. He really has, because we did so much media, and it was at the national level.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just going and going and going, and this needs to change. So as we're doing all of that, his office is silent.
Yeah, no
And
support at all.
and then we've got legislation. We need to fix this. And so I reach out to Schmidt's office. Hey, can you guys support us on this? Never hear back anything. It's just like talk to the hand. And so an office that has for decades stood with us has now turned their back on us.
With no reason.
With no, because it does not fit
it's not
this
consistent.
DA's
Agenda.
agenda. Because in his world, the criminal really is the victim, and the victim is not really the victim, it's the criminal. And that's why you've seen a lot of cases just not get prosecuted. That's why you've seen the mass exodus of law enforcement in the Portland Police Bureau. I mean, there's just so many things that have been broken and dismantled by the current DA. And so you start looking who will partner with us again.
Yeah.
And you know,
Because we need that.
Yeah, we've had conversations with Nathan Vasquez.
Mhm.
And how do you feel about this? What do you think about this?
What's
you know?
your record?
And he has been in the DA's office, I think, since 2001.
And he
So
has
he is-
prosecuted cases.
Yes.
Let's not forget that, because I don't think Schmidt has.
I don't think so either. Oh, it's amazing when
He doesn't have a lot of experience in the
Mm-mm.
courtroom of
I was
prosecuting a
surprised. I
case.
literally only know him from the billboards.
Yeah.
We're not fans of Schmidt.
yes,
How young he
exactly,
looks.
exactly. So when you enter, see, a lot of people never have to experience that world of the DA's office. The only
yeah,
way
most
you
people.
yeah, the
I was
only
gonna
way
say,
you
yeah.
experience
I
it is
think
if you're a
for-
crime victim.
I think for a lot of
But you
people,
want a DA that is for you.
right.
So I'm curious, with your background and your history, Measure 110 for Oregon, the decriminalization law.
Yeah, I have
My
an opinion.
understanding, and
My
I'm-
perception of it, because a lot of people are using it against Schmidt to say this was allowed, what was this supposed to do? And then everything has gone to hell. Of what you know, if any, really my understanding is that the follow through has not happened. I am for it. There are so many people on the street. Why are we going to put them in jail when that's not going to help them in any way? But is the money going to the right programs?
Right.
supposed to be going.
They're probably, allocating those dollars to programs, but are they really meeting criteria for those contracts or for those programs?
Right. Do you think that
um,
that's a good idea in general?
Okay, I'm
Not
just
like
going to
get
keep
political,
it
I'm
real.
just curious 'cause of
Yeah,
your
I'm going to
experience.
keep it real. I am glad that I went to jail because that is what would wake you up.
Like a rock bottom situation.
Right. Now, did I have to go through diversion? Yeah, but I failed that. I'm telling you that the people that I know all went to prison. My husband went to prison 10 times. You know,
You got a little card.
Punch her free.
Punch
Next
out.
visit's free.
punch out.
You get an extra
But-
pillow.
But if you would ask somebody in long-term recovery, like what we are in, they would tell you they were grateful for doing time. I'm just going to speak from my experience. The only time that I would learn something was the hard way. And if that meant losing my freedom, being told when to sleep, when not to sleep, when to walk, when not to walk, that's the only time that would give my brain a reprieve from inducing it with a lot of drugs. Now, what we have, like in Clark County, in fact, I have teams that go into Clark County Jail and we meet with those with high SMI, serious mental illness, and we outreach them while they're in.
Cool.
So that, one, we build a relationship with them. My peers, who all have lived experience, they go in the jail, they pull these people, or the jails will say, will you please meet with this person? So my staff goes in, starts building a relationship, talking shop,
Peer one-on-ones.
connecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, I've been there. You know, whatever.
What a difference than someone coming in like suit and tie and
I have a
Well, I
PhD.
have-
No,
Yeah.
these guys, you know, I
You have to
remember
keep
that,
it
and I'd be
real.
like, shut your mouth, you all just know from the
Right.
textbook.
yeah.
So go away. I'm
Yeah.
gonna run circles around you. Because we are master manipulators. But so that's what we do in Clark County.
That's really
And
cool.
that's what works. I don't know what they're doing in Portland.
Seems
I don't
like
know.
the
They don't-
process is incomplete. Like it's not going to work till
Right.
all
Yeah,
the
it was
pieces
like they
are
put
there.
the cart before the horse.
Exactly.
Well, like we have this idea because we have to do something.
Right.
Let's
I
do
think
this. And everyone's like,
that-
is a great idea.
Okay.
But we
But-
don't have anything in place.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say it. I think that there should be consequences if you're using heroin or meth or crack cocaine or fentanyl or whatever. Okay, that's against the law. You're gonna go do time. But then while they're there,
They
getting
need-
sobered up, and their brains are starting to clear up, get your outreach peer counselors,
support.
certified peer counselors in there that have done time, that have lived that life, that can connect with them like that,
Yeah.
because not everybody can connect.
Mhm.
But that's the beautiful thing about being a certified peer counselor, because I do have that too. But we can connect right away with somebody. Then they can create that relationship, and that person knows, gosh, when I get out, I do have
Yeah.
somebody that cares about me.
We talk about that a lot where there is going to come a time where they get out, and if they're not getting the support they need, all they've learned are new tools to be even
Yeah,
more
better,
manipulative,
yeah.
know how to be a better criminal. So why
Or
not get
they
that
don't
support?
have- They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have money. So what are you going to do? You're going to do what you know. Like, you know, my female clients that were out on the street, I wasn't there to tell them not to do something. I was there, and I would say, do whatever you have to do to stay awake all night. Do whatever you have to do to protect yourself. And if that's staying up all night, then oh well. We'll work on that a different day.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Let's get through today.
Let's get through today. Let's make sure you're safe. I'll see you in the morning. And in fact, one of the gals that I used to say that to, she's now housed in one of our apartments. We have 4 apartments that we have an MOU with the Vancouver Housing Authority, and so we manage all the people within there. And I have several people in there that I started working with 5 or 6 years ago. I do think that consequences are good, and that might not be a really popular opinion.
It's good to hear that opinion, though.
Well,
Yeah.
Again, you have
Yeah.
lived experience. I sit back and go, well, that makes
Oh.
sense to me to say our jails are crowded. We don't have the funding. We might as like, what good is
What
that
else?
doing to lock someone up?
Well,
and do
we
paperwork
sure
and
as
processing?
shit don't hand out foil and straws. We do not do that. That is not harm reduction.
No.
Mm.
That is,
Is Portland
when I heard about that,
Portland's doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Portland
Oh,
was,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
I was like, what
Oh,
the
with
F
what?
are you
They just wanna kill
doing?
everybody?
That's what I thought. I go, oh, so
Like, this
that
was
will,
recent?
yeah.
I remember
Yeah, I
that.
did a video on that too.
What?
I had a whole, I
Why?
think my video got like 30, 40,000
Oh
views.
my God.
They want them to do
got
it
shared and shared.
responsibly, I think was the
And I was like, what is going on with the community service outreach programs there?
I have my own thoughts, but
I do
you
too.
know.
Don't make me get into
I-
conspiracy. But I do feel that consequences are good. That's when it's painful. That's when we want to stop something.
Right.
Do I think that it's important to have outreach teams, peers that have lived experience going into the jails and attempting and creating relationships with people that are still there for a while, but we know that they are going to be released. And then that way, so what my team does is we work on the housing. We work on what do we need to get done? We need to get an ID. We need a social security card. We need this. We need that. We need, this is this program. We can get you into housing. We can get you into treatment. We can do this. And so that's what Portland needs. If somebody's being naughty, doing a bunch of yay,
on the street corner. I don't know what, I probably would have died. I probably would have died if I didn't have to try to hide what I was doing. I would have died. I was a major heroin addict. I would have died. Of course, I have a heart for all those that are suffering, all the suffering addicts, because they're my people.
Right.
They're my
Which is
people.
so refreshing. I feel like I can't think of anyone, but I feel like we've had conversations with people who have gone through the tunnel, and it shifts their perspective into, well, I did it. Why are you on the street corner
Right.
smoking crack? Or
No.
I did it. Why are you?
Yeah.
I've seen and heard that where it's just like, how do you not have the empathy
You're
to
compelling
to
them.
see,
Come on,
to
they
see
need someone
yourself there when you were in
Rooting
that.
I
for
love 'em.
Yeah, right where they're at. Right
Um,
where they're at.
But we keep it real with them
Mhm.
because I know that they can handle real.
Right.
I don't need to pussyfoot around you. You're a badass. You're out your mind because you're doing too much meth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know that you've been traumatized. I know something has happened horribly in your life that makes you think that this is what you need to do. But I can say that they're going to listen to me more than somebody that's just textbook taught or wearing a suit, because I can speak their language and they know I'm not talking out the side of my neck, which means,
Again,
you're talking out the yes, you know what I mean? And I can say that I'm not talking out the side of my neck, and then boom, they're like, "Oh, you're speaking my language. That's nomenclature. That's like, oh, okay, now I'm listening." And so that's the beauty of peers. But I think that for Portland, let them have consequences. You'll save their life. There is room, and then bring in outreach workers who have lived experience, who has functional programs, and that are allocating the funds from those grants or from those contracts, that are doing it prudently and responsibly. And that's why, I oversee 7 programs that are doing that. And I try to be a good steward with all the money that they give us. I have to answer to people, but
Right.
We've housed, just with my Housing First program, we've housed 100 and something people in 7 months, 8 months.
Oh goodness, you're doing better than Multnomah County.
Yeah.
And that's just me.
Wow.
And I have 4 peer counselors and 2 housing placement specialists. That's 6 people. And that's just one of my programs. And we've housed, countless with our CBRA program and countless with housing stability, or kept them stably housed. So it can be done, but you need to be responsible and good stewards with the funds that you get.
You have to acknowledge that where we're at right now in Multnomah County isn't working.
It's not working.
That's
No.
the biggest thing. and
Right.
it's hard
So
for-
what do we
People are
need to do
dying.
to change that? And there are solutions and answers, and you have to have somebody that is willing to find out what those are and not just let something go. And unfortunately, I think where we're at right now in Multnomah County is there's not a lot of motivation. It just seems to be a lot of talk, and you hear people complain and complain and complain. Do something.
Or
Yeah.
kicking
but
it to
in-
somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody
well,
else
then-
is done.
your
well, we're
transitional
gonna
period,
we're
too.
gonna form a task force to figure out what we should do, and you're just like, you're in an emergency now.
Yeah, like I could just tell you actually.
I can
Yeah.
tell you exactly what to
Yeah, and you don't have time to study this for a year.
You can find Tiffany and Danielle individually on social media, and we'll have links in the episode notes. To stay up to date on their book and appearances, please visit sistersinsurvivalthebook.com. You'll also be able to meet them if you're attending the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival in Denver this July. You can get tickets at truecrimepodcastfestival.com and use code RAIN15 for 15% off. You can also meet them at True Crime Fest Northwest Labor Day weekend. You can get those tickets at truecrimefestnorthwest.com. Northwest is spelled out.
As always, we want to thank Danielle and Tiffany for taking time out of their visit to spend it with us. I think they're such a wonderful example of so many things, of survivors, of advocates, and they show that people don't have to agree on everything. We can just sit together and have conversations and share ideas without getting defensive or argumentative. Also, if you know anyone in the publishing world, make sure they know about Danielle and Tiffany's story. Their book is sure to be moving, intense, beautiful, heartbreaking, and hilarious. You can always email us or reach out to them via sistersinsurvivalthebook.com. Murder in the Rain is a Cascade Media production, written, hosted, and edited by Josh McCullough, Emily Rowney, and Alicia Holland. Feel free to email us at murderintherain@gmail.com or through our website, murderintherain.com. For as little as $1 a month, you can subscribe on Patreon to get exclusive access to ad-free and older episodes. For only $5, you can access Patreon-exclusive episodes and content. For more of us, be sure to follow on all the socials, listen to Josh and Alicia on their other show, Always Be My Sisters, and follow Emily on TikTok at @M_murderintherain. And suck my balls.